All right. Hey, how's it going? A lot of Rant and Chill. Didn't think I was going to be able to do this. Kids are home. The school's out due to water boiling notice. Live in Texas. Was affected by the freeze, of course. Got lucky. No pipes busted in my house. I kept everything running. All the faucets, so that everything was running. I didn't want to chance it. I did not want to chance it at all, you know. But some of the schools, you know, they had their pipes bust as some repairs. You know, it's chaos. It's a little damage, a little destruction. But they'll probably go back to school tomorrow. Anyway, so I want to take this moment to do a little rant and chill and talk about a couple things here. Gonna get into philosophy. I don't really do philosophy subjects that much. Philosophical talk. It seems like it would be fitting for a rant and chill sort of vibe. What is worse? Action or inaction? Well, I mean, depending on the situation, right? I mean, obviously, action is pretty bad. If someone were to take an action of committing a crime against someone, a very fatal crime like murder, that would be bad. That would be bad, especially if it was in cold blood and there was no self-defense or anything. It was just they are the perpetrator, they are the predator, they are the murderer. That's a horrible action there, right? Right? I think most people would agree that is wrong, ethically, morally, legally. What about inaction, though? Inaction can be bad, really bad. Inaction in itself could lead to death, lead to injury, lead to harm, right? Like, for example, if someone were to witness that murder, they were right there, and that person had a gun himself. It was trained on how to use that gun. And he or she could have neutralized the murderer. Could have, would have, should have. But didn't. Now, how bad is that? That inaction that the other person, the third party in this situation, the other, the gunslinger. The gunslinger that could have saved the day. That inaction, you could say, led to the death. At least it did not prevent the death. You know, there's no action taken to prevent, to try to render the situation safer for the one who's being attacked. And obviously, since we're talking about guns, we're talking about a lethal action. If that third party were to render any sort of, we're trying to neutralize the situation, it would have to be a fatal shot if they want to avoid like lawsuits and all that stuff. Well, kind of, sort of. I mean, the family could still try to sue. And that's the other thing too. Legal consequences in our system, right? Because even if you take an action that seems ethical and morally right, morally good, like you're taking an action to save someone's life, prevent someone from getting murdered by neutralizing the person who's about to be the person who is the murderer, you did face consequences, even though you felt like you were in the right. And I agree that you were in the right. A lot of us would agree that you were definitely in the right because you prevented someone from being murdered. It's that simple. That's simple. Oh, but he took a life of another. There's some people out there that say no one has the right to take a life of another. Wow. You definitely have that right when someone's about to take a life of another. You know, you can intervene. You can intervene there. You know. I don't know about that one. That one, I'm not in agreement with. I mean, if someone's about to kill you, or someone's about to inflict substantial harm to you, or to a family member, to someone you love, someone you like, I think you are definitely justified to take lethal action against them. I think most people would agree with that. Okay, so going back here. So we have this third person inflicts lethal harm to the murderer, saving the victim. Their life is spared. Yay. You know, it should be a victory. It's great, right? Like I said, most people would support that. But then you would have the consequences of maybe a potential lawsuit by the victim's family, you know. But isn't that still a better outcome than doing nothing, than inaction? After all, the gunslinger that could have saved the day, if he or she kept the gun holstered and didn't do anything to neutralize the murderer and save the victim, then what can that person say about themselves? They're not no hero. And they had the power, they had the ability, they had the training to stop it, and they didn't. That's bad. That's real bad. Is it just as worse? Is it as worse, or maybe even more worse than the actual action that took place? Ran it away, yeah. I mean, if there's situations where good men could do something, good men or women that could do something to save another, and they choose not to, they refuse to do it, then they're part of it, man. As far as I'm concerned, they're part of it. Whereas it depends on the situation, right? Someone can easily spin that around back on us. Anyone who buys an iPhone, are you culpable? Are you enabling the practice of using slave labor to produce iPhones, produce stuff? Or slave labor for mining the minerals in Africa? Are you part of that? You could say yeah, because you're buying the product. You're buying the good that they made with that. So they're going to continue to use it. I would say, yeah, there's an argument there. I would say with that, though, it's a little bit far removed. But yeah, I could see that. And that's a much bigger thing here. And I do go on tangents. I do go on side trails. I like doing that. It's fun. That's what Rant and Chill is about, no matter what I talk about. But I think getting back on track here about what is worse, inaction or action. Are there times where inaction can be worse than action? Oh, most definitely. Most definitely. I brought up a crime. I brought up a murder because that's something we can easily say, oh, yeah, that's fine. I mean, it's not that murder's fine, but we easily say, yeah, murder's wrong, morally, ethically, legally, like I said. And that if someone had the capability, the training and everything to intervene to prevent the murder from happening, they should do that. And if they don't do that, they essentially allowed it to happen. They witnessed the whole thing. So, I mean, what are you doing? You're a fly on the wall? Come on. You're a fly on the wall that had a gun and training and all that stuff. You could have saved the day. I mean, imagine someone a third party, just watching a rape happen. You could intervene. You could stop it from happening, but you're just like, not my problem. I'm not going to do anything about it. That's cold. That's horrible. That's what do you do with that? I think that would be just as bad. Just as bad as the one who's committing the rape. The just as bad is tough though, huh? You're saying it's the same? It's pretty much on par. Maybe a little bit lower by like a tad, by a couple percentage points. I don't know. But it's still pretty bad. Like I said, when good men and women choose or refuse to do nothing, especially when they have the ability to do so, that allows evil to flourish. It allows evil things to happen, unmoral, unethical things to happen. And you don't have to let it. Solo Blue, they love slave labor. I think they do. When I buy an iPhone, I guess in a way I do love slave labor. Wow, don't clip that out. It doesn't matter. Who's Mr. Deadman? But other inactions. Let's take inaction. Scenarios where inaction can definitely be worse than action. Let's say, all right. Let's say there's a fire. This is so easy. There's a fire. The fire department received a call to go out and put out the fire. But the fire department, they don't want to do it. They're like, firemen's lives matter. And last time we went out to go put out a fire, we were attacked and some stuff happened. And I don't know. So some BS. Maybe they say they're on strike. Maybe just like, I don't know. We just don't feel like it right now. Maybe it's 420 and they all want to get high, replace all those firemen. Maybe they're like that professor in Columbia and they feel like they could balance a work-life, a work-life relationship with heroin. They just refuse to put out the fire. Okay. All right. Now, here's the thing about inaction. Inaction in itself is inaction. That's my only real gripe about inaction and versus action, because inaction is in itself an action. You're choosing, or I guess you could say it's a choice. You're making a choice to not engage or not do the thing that you should do. And these situations I'm talking about where it's like, you should do it. You could do it. You could render some sort of aid. You feel it. You hear it. But it's just you choose not to do it. But even whether I could set that aside. So let's say the fire department take an inaction approach to this. Like, I'm not going to do anything about it. What does that lead to? Loss of property, death, possibly. Horrible things. We could all agree that's a horrible thing, and that's a situation where definitely inaction is pretty bad and probably just as worse as action. Definitely worse than action. Like the firemen took action and went out and put out the fire, and it still resulted in, let's say, a baby's death or something. They at least tried to do what they were supposed to do. They tried to do the ethical, moral thing and go put out that fire, save those lives, right? And the faster they get to doing it, the higher the probability, depending on the situation, depending on the circumstances, because there are all sorts of variables in play there. But the faster they get to the location, the higher the probability that they'll be able to save the day, save someone's life. So in that situation, just about any second of inaction could be bad, could be problematic. That's why in those situations, like firemen at EMS, whatever, it's even police officers, it's like you have to go. You're going as fast as you can to that location, But most people could agree that's a shitty thing to do. That's definitely a good example there of inaction, how inaction can be worse than action. And it's also very silly. There's no way that could actually really happen. I say no way it could actually really happen, but lately we've been seeing some weird things, right? With teachers going on strike, not wanting to teach due to COVID, yet COVID numbers are dropping, lockdowns being relaxed, vaccines out, everything's getting better. Kids rarely even get it anyway, they rarely even die from it. Stats prove that, by the way. I'm not making fake news over here, but they just don't want to do their job. Okay, what they're doing, the teachers that go on strike and continue on that's unethical, that's immoral, right? That's shitty behavior. We can all agree with that. And that's an inaction in itself. They're refusing to do what they should do. Actually, you could say they are taking action, actually, in that point. There is a line there between inaction and action. And that's the blurry part for me. No, another example would be, let's say you are at a beach. There's some sort of beach party that you're part of. Okay. I need a. Oh, here we go. Even this burn on the cigar here. Okay, you're at this beach party. It's good. It's popping. Everything's nice. But you notice there's somebody out there that's struggling. They are not making it. They are out way too far. The tide's too tough, and they don't even know how to swim. Okay, all right. In fact, you knew he didn't know how to swim. Okay, but it's very apparent that this person, he's so far out you can't even tell what gender it is. So far out, it's a person. You think like help, whatever. What do y'all do? Do y'all go out and try to help? You contact authorities. You get mobilizing. You get moving to render aid somehow to help them out, or do y'all do nothing and just continue the party? Take the shots of Patron, playing beach volleyball with bikinis while that person's about to drown. What do you do? I mean, if no one knows how to swim, obviously no one's going to go out there and swim and go get them. But if there was someone out there that knew how to swim and they could do that, sure, great, cool, do that. But obviously in that situation, the thing to do would be to take action, of course, and call the authorities, call someone, get help out there, right? Otherwise, the consequence is that person's going to die. That person's going to drown and die. We're like, what's the value of a one human life? Okay, well, now we're getting into a weird territory there. Like, see, here's the thing. If I added stuff there, little modifiers to that situation. If I told this to, let's say, some people when I was like, okay, and that person has a red cap on. You can't tell it says Make America Great Again, but you're pretty sure it says something like it. Do you go out and render aid? And watch, the answer would be different. Watch, the answer would be different. I tell you what, if I just add that little modifier to all these situations I just listed, the opinion would be different, right? It's so goofy how that works. It's sad too. Yeah, not my problem. Not my problem is a horrible approach. Not my problem. Like, I gauge it. I mean, come on. Like, if you are a 36, 37-year-old man, you've been in situations where you have helped out. You've been in situations where you could have helped out and you didn't. You've been in situations where you could have helped out more and you didn't. It depends on what's going on, right? Like, example, if there is a car accident, a very bad car accident, and the car, you see it like right in front of you. The fact you didn't get hit was a miracle, but you're pretty sure part of the, nothing hit you, but you witnessed it. And you see all these people running to aid. You see, for some reason, you see nurses coming out. Like, whoa, shit! There's a bunch of nurses on staff somewhere. Nurses, I guess, on the way to work, whatever. They start appearing. They come out of the woodwork. People start running to the vehicle. Helping them and getting them out of the car. What do you do in that situation? Do you stay? Do you go? What do you do? What do you do? Right? If you stay and do nothing, freeze up, well, that's an inaction in itself. And really, at that point, if there's other people rendering aid and helping out, and they appear to be more capable of rendering aid and helping out more than you can, because maybe you had a couple beers or whatever. So, yeah, I'm telling you a real situation. I had a couple beers, like, I'm not gonna be able to do anything here. Except you probably could have. You might have been able to give a statement that probably would have helped, right? Right? I witnessed that. That's crazy. There's a group of Hispanic men in a truck. They were mowing lawns. You could tell because they had a trailer, and that's a shit. That's the work to do pretty much. If you want to make some good money, if you don't have, I mean, those guys do. They mow lawns. They make a bunch of money doing that stuff. I don't know about how much they make, but they make pretty good. They're constantly working, busting their ass, while everybody else is, looking for an excuse to not work. And they're driving. Everything looks fine. They have their taillights and everything. Everything's on the up and up. From what I could tell anyway. I'm not a cop, and I wasn't really inspecting it. But all of a sudden, this SUV, it looks like an SUV thing, comes out, boom, hits the trailer. The trailer gets dislodged and flies across the highway. The SUV thing, by the force of hitting the trailer, it like spins out, falls on top of it. It falls on its top, and it's like, oh shit, that is crazy. That is insane. My wife and I, we did stay around to see what we could do, but at the point, I mean, there's so many people there. It's like, okay, well, anyway. Those are situations we may find ourselves commonly in, and that inaction may not be very fatal or very important necessarily, but however, it can be in a way. Let's say this, because let's move away from the crime stuff. Let's go into a more an everyday situation that just about everyone can relate to. Let's say you want to do something. Maybe it's a hobby. Maybe it's writing a book, writing a comic, something artistic, or maybe it's just starting a YouTube channel or whatever, making a certain post. I don't know. Maybe you really want to do something, but you are afraid to do it. You want to take this certain action. It's important to you. You know it's important to you. There's a lot of pressure on yourself to do it, but you refuse to do it. You don't do it. You're afraid to do it. You're afraid because why? Because other people are going to judge you, and then you start making excuses. Or maybe you already made the excuse before you were afraid, before the fear came in. Maybe you're like, oh, I'm not going to do it because why even bother? Someone else is doing it. Or I'm not going to do it because it's not really going to be that good. If you say that, it's not going to really be that good. It sounds like you've already been drinking too much of the fear already. Fear of rejection, fear of judgment for a while now, maybe for years. Been sipping on that drink, that poison, the mind virus. And you've already have trained yourself to pretty much be immediately hating on yourself, shitting on yourself to the point to where you don't do what you want to do for yourself because you already assume that you are a piece of shit and not worthwhile and everything you do just crumbles like a shit cookie. That would be a situation where your inaction is hurting you. Your inaction is preventing you from any sort of personal growth. In fact, if anything, your inaction is creating it's a detriment to your situation there. Right? I think you guys would agree, right? I mean, you're not doing yourself any favors by refusing to do what you want to do. I know it's a very basic example, but we're talking about inaction versus action. And there's something that you really want to do. Let's say write a book or YouTube channel or even a silly Twitter post. But if you're saying, I am not going to do it because of fear of rejection, fear of being judged, fear that these other people are going to look at it in a certain way and I'm going to get some feedback I'm not going to like and I'm going to hurt my feelings or whatever. Who is that on? You could blame the others. You could blame society. You could blame the groups that you think they'll be the ones that be flinging that feedback or vile rhetoric at you. You could blame them all you want, but at the end of it all, it is down to you and what you do. If you choose not to do it, then that's on you. That is on you. And that inaction is hurting you. It's going to hurt you. It's a detriment. There's nothing helpful about it. Oh yeah, okay. And Mom's Reveille brings up the case of CPR, or CP. Okay, we could go back to that. Let me go back to that to a real situation that has very legal consequences. Okay, so let's say there's a situation at a pool or whatever. Someone's choking. Not really. Okay, you're in a situation where you need to give someone CPR. You need to do it. Okay. At least someone should. They're not breathing. They're right there. They're already on the floor. They're already kind of laid out. Okay, you gotten that far. Now it's like, okay, what do we do? Like, do we do the CPR? Do we do that? Or we not do that? Do we all freeze up? Maybe it's just you there. It's you, that person, and you've already helped them lay down on the ground, all that stuff. Okay. All right. You notice they're not breathing, and you are like, I know you are trained how to do CPR. You've had a couple classes. Maybe you haven't done it before in a while, but you kind of know how to do it. And you're like, this looks like that situation. Should I try? Should I not? What happens? What do you do? What is the right thing to do? What is the ethical or moral thing to do in that situation? Well, if you do inaction, if you don't do anything, then that's horrible. That person is going to die there. If you take action as in call the police or call 911, tell them what you see, and if they advise you to give CPR, if they do that sort of thing, be like, okay, and I'm kind of rusty. I don't have the full training. I've done it a little times, okay? Maybe they walk you through it, okay? That's a lot better than you just doing it on your own, okay? That's what I would do. If you're in that situation, I would call 911 and let them know, hey, this is an emergency. Like, we need to get going now. We need to get going now because this person could end up dead very soon, okay? Did Mr. Devin get the chalupa shits? Oh, yeah, we'll talk about Taco Bell soon. Now, let's say, hey, what's going on, Bronx? Now, let's say for some reason you don't have cell service or whatever. That's not really realistic. I mean, okay, let's say there's somebody else who's already calling for aid, and you know how to do CPR a little bit. You have some training, like you've worked in, let's say you worked at a hospital setting, so you've been trained how to do it. You're expected to do it whenever it comes up. So okay, you have your training and certification, all that stuff. Okay, so since you have the certification, you really have no excuse to not do it since you're trained in how to do it. Okay. That in that situation, if you take the inaction of not trying CPR and the person dies, then that's a fucked up thing to do. And I would say that's horrible, ethically, morally, legally, and all that stuff. But let's say you do that sort of thing, you do CPR, and you render aid, and you helped some, but they find out later on, they got injured during the process, and that person sues you. In that situation, I would say, man, you did the right thing. You did the right thing. You know it was the right thing. Ethically, it was the right thing. You know you're the right there. It really sucks. It's horrible that they're suing you for that, and that's horrible and wrong. But that's the thing of our legal system, huh? They don't say, okay, wait a second. So I don't understand this guy inflicted some sort of injury on you, but like he saved your life. You could have died if he didn't try. Is that the alternative you wanted? I mean, if there was more judges that would be willing to like tell them to eat shit, okay? But they don't do that. They don't freaking do that, okay? At least it depends on the situation. I've actually read cases or heard of cases where someone injured someone with CPR and the judge ruled in the favor of the person who gave CPR. Because let's be real here. Those lawsuits are a grift. In our legal system, the way it's designed, there's all sorts of grifts they could do on all sorts of things. Let's say hot coffee spills on old granny's lap. I didn't realize it was hot. What are you telling me? It's hot coffee, But even in that situation, if you look in that lawsuit, and that's a classic lawsuit, that was the one for McDonald's, right? This elderly woman had hot coffee spilled in her lap. It burned her severely. If you read that lawsuit, the reason why they went in her favor is because of empathy, of sympathy. That's why. They knew the coffee was hot. She knew the coffee was hot. But what you got there is an elderly woman who has like severe burns in her private area, in her leg, her thigh. So they're like, okay, McDonald's, just pay out. Okay. Is that the moral thing to do? Is that the ethical thing to do? Is it? That gets complicated. I mean, if the money is being used to treat her, I don't know. E.T. Tibbler says, remove warning labels and safety warnings. Let humanity thin itself out. Yes. Or do that so that we could repeat the grift. Get injured by things and sue for money. Yeah. And Pterodactyl says McDonald's has enough money for that shit, though. And that is the outlook that some people have when they go through that. Just keep in mind, when those lawsuits, when they go this certain way, you wonder why that happened. Empathy, man, and kind of rationalizing, yeah, this person is in the wrong. Like the Gorilla Glue girl, what's going to happen with her? The Gorilla Glue company's going to pay out. You watch. They're going to pay out. They're going to settle. They're going to settle. It's going to look hard. I don't know if they already did or not, but it's going to look bad even if they didn't. If they try to fight it, they'll be like, oh, you're racist. How dare you? You have a freaking gorilla on your glue. Is that a racist signaling? Are you trying to say that it's for black people with the gorilla on the thing? They're going to see some ridiculous stuff if they haven't already. I'm pretty sure they have. Just watch it. But they're going to... What she did was absolutely stupid. What she did was dumb. There's no justification for it. It says don't use it on skin, and the scalp is your skin. Come on now. But when people are going to see that story, they're going to think of there's other reasons why they feel empathetic, and they start rationalizing, okay, we'll side in their favor. We'll side in their favor. I mean, I guess we could apply the inaction versus action in those situations in a courtroom. Okay? Let's say the Gorilla Glue case, let's say the Gorilla Glue company, they fight it and it goes to court and it's a trial. Okay? And you're part of the jury. Chat, you're the jury of this trial. You are the jury of this trial. You got to hear it out, though. Okay? I already know how it's going to go. Is Gorilla Glue guilty or not guilty? Not guilty. They're not paying anything out. That woman was dumb. That woman was dumb. No, shouldn't have to pay for her being dumb. In that situation, you have to take an action. That situation, you have to say one or the other. Well, actually, the inaction part would be like better. Like you know it's wrong. If let's say the other jurors are going, I'm thinking Gorilla Glue is guilty. I'm thinking, or whatever. This is like, I don't know. It's gonna be a criminal case. It's gonna be a. Okay, so. But if it is a situation with jury trial, and the other jurors are like, I think she could use the money. I think she could use the money to pay for a medical bills. Beers? I was gonna say beers. Medical beers. I don't know what a medical beer is. But if they start going that way, and I don't agree with that, then stand your ground and voice your opinion. But I'm afraid it might be called a racist. Well, then you're taking inaction then. And then you are not helpful at all. You could apply that to real life examples, huh? Can't you? Real life, real world examples that you might experience at the workplace. Or with friends and family. Someone says something that's not really factual about something. Let's say you were some liberal friends and they're like, all Trump guys, all MAGA guys, to bring that back up. That stuff is dead, huh? But all MAGA guys are Nazis. Like, no, that's not true. But before that's what you're thinking, no, that's not true. You stop yourself from saying it because you're like, I don't want to be called a racist. I don't want to have that conversation again. I know where it's going to lead. I don't want to deal with it. So it just happens. It just happens. And once again, you're annoyed to have and hear it. You're just like, in that situation, you could choose action. You could take an action. You could voice your opinion. You could let it be known. But no, that's not entirely true. No, that's not even true at all. What's going on there. And you could have that uncomfortable conversation. Now, hold on one moment. Oh, that's my son letting me know that he has loose teeth. He's about to lose his teeth. About to lose his teeth. That's going to be great. That's fun. You have to get some Gorilla Glue to keep them back in. No, that'd be child abuse. Now, going back to the conversation thing, a lot of people don't want to have those uncomfortable conversations because you know where it's going to go. And it's like, I already had it before. If that's the case, I totally understand why you would take inaction on that. In some places, it's worth it. You got to have to evaluate, is it worth it or not? To me, what's going on? If it's not that important, then okay, it is what it is. But that's something that you have to judge for yourself. And that's what a lot of this inaction versus action stuff is, right? It's not like you can't be like, oh yeah, I'm always going to take action no matter what situation, because no, that doesn't make sense either. Like, you're not always going to do that. There's not always a need for that, right? The situation might not even need you to be there. You could just do your own thing. You could go. It might really be not your problem. Don't get involved. But sometimes some things are not really your problem, but maybe you should get involved because you could help out in one way or the other. Maybe there's something you could say, something you could do. Get in contact with somebody. E.T. Templar using loose teeth with the Nerf guns striking dart. Oh, I thought what I was going to do was tie his tooth to the door and just whoosh, and no. Now, Taco Bell. What is going on? It is over encoding. It's like the VLC player. Sometimes it messes up. It's goofy when it does that. All I was just doing is play music. Okay, so Taco Bell. I mean, I don't think there's anything more I could say about inaction versus action for examples. I mean, I guess one last example I can give, and this is classic. This is classic. Speaking of kids, this is, you know what I'm talking about here. You broke something. You broke something of value and made it loud. Well, it didn't. No, okay, no. You broke something of value, and you try to pretend like it didn't happen. You broke something of somebody else's. Maybe it's a friend. Maybe it's something that belonged to your parents. Maybe it was something in their room. And you try to pretend it didn't happen. You hide the evidence, whatever. You're taking action there. Oh, yeah. You're taking action to hide everything. Oh, yeah, I'm going to sweep it under the rug. Yeah, that's fine. I know it's broken glass, but it's going to be okay, right? And you don't tell your mom or you don't tell somebody because you think it's gonna be a-okay. It's gonna be fine. I don't need to tell anybody this, right? They don't need to know. They're never gonna find out. So you're taking inaction there. Though, like I said before, maybe something about me when I'm wired. When I look at the action thing, I see action both ways, because you're taking an action to do something or not to do something, but that's how it's defined, right? If you're taking action to not do something, that would be the inaction thing. All right. So yeah, if you're making a conscious decision to not tell your parents and not tell your friend that you broke their stuff or whatever, what happens? What tends to happen? They find out later on. And how is it then? Is it usually better or is it worse then? Well, if it's your parents and you had a couple of days of lies about why something is gone, and then you tell them because you're confronted on it, because maybe your mom stepped on the part of the rug where the glass was swept under and she cut her foot and she wants to know why this is there. Yeah. Yeah, and that's wow. What is going on? OBS locks up sometimes. This is a computer, man. I've things running in the background or something. I don't know. Check it out.